And I love it because it actually gives a small cost-benefit analysis for raising a child till they're 18. I mean, we are financial advisors, right? But, so it starts off and it's like, you know, the average cost is a couple $100,000, that doesn't include college tuition. And then it says, well, what can you get in return, you know? And it says all these like really beautiful, sentimental, like mushy-gushy benefits that just like melt your heart. So it says, you know, in return you get countless hugs and kisses. You get someone to make you laugh no matter how bad your day is. And you get someone who always thinks of you as their favorite superhero, and so on. It's like really nice. But my favorite part of the letter is the very end. It says, in conclusion, weighing the costs and benefits, there is no greater investment, no greater joy, and no greater bang for your buck. Congratulations on this wonderful occasion. And so, you know, for many of our clients, their children are their greatest investment, right? It's who they're most proud of, and it's a big part of their legacy. So as advisors, we can add tremendous value to our clients' financial planning just by being a resource to their children. And from a financial planning standpoint, it makes sense, right? You know, as advisors, we do a great job of helping our clients build their legacy. We look at so many different areas of their financial plan, right? We've really got it down. But this big issue facing advisors and families today is this generational transfer of wealth, right? We've all heard of it. And from a client standpoint, many of them are nervous. They don't feel like their children are ready or mature enough to handle that level of wealth. Or they're nervous that this level of wealth will actually impede their children from being productive members in society. So that's what I'd like to share with you today real quick, is just how can we as financial advisors help this next generation, our clients' children, become financially responsible individuals. And when I say children, I really think of this like key time to build this relationship is when they're in college or like just graduating, so like 20 to 24 years old. And I guess you could call that like the tail end of the millennials. And as you can tell, I'm definitely a millennial. So I see and hear a lot about what these guys have to say about managing their money. And lately, we've been using this term, we millennials, adulting. Have y'all heard of it? It's like a verb now, who knew? But basically, it's just a way to describe like some of the challenges of being an adult, which includes managing your money, right? So I found these memes on social media, and memes are just little snippets of the various experiences from like a millennial standpoint. So here's the first example. I've got bills, they're multiplying. I want to spend the rest of my life trying to get out of debt. And example 3, me. I really want to travel my bank account, like to the backyard. So I bring up these examples just to showcase some of the basic ways that we could be helping our clients' children. So like saving, debt management, etc. My favorite, more positive example is from a website called Humans of New York. How many of y'all have heard of this? It's awesome, right? So the photographer's name is Brandon Stanton, and he collects all these various perspectives. It's very diverse. And the way he does that is he goes around different areas in New York City and he takes portraits of random strangers. And then he provides a random, like, interesting quote from that person, and he shares it on social media. So this photo of a family here, it's got 850,000 likes, and it was shared over 100,000 times on Facebook because what this child had to say. So I'll read it out to you. Every week, I get $1 for an allowance. Then I get to choose the section where I put my dollar. There are 4 sections: spend, save, donate, and invest. If I put $1 in the invest section, my parents give me 2 extra pennies at the end of the month. I only use my spend section twice, and I have way over $10 in my invest section. I used to have more, but I took some money out and I put it in my donate section. We used it to buy food for people who don't have enough money in their spend section. Awesome, right? So, this example is just showing young children, but we can expand upon it and apply a similar structure when talking to young millennials. So a couple of weeks ago, I'm really excited to talk about this. A couple of weeks ago, I hosted this little brunch for my friends, and I called it Moolah and Mimosas. So we were just talking about basic financial planning. So imagine this, we're like in my living room, and we're sipping mimosas, and we're talking about colonics, what? No, just kidding. But we're sipping mimosas, and we're talking about personal finance, and the discussion gets so lively that I have this like whiteboard right here, and we're like doing pros and cons, it's amazing. But if you look around the room, you see these really smart, driven, young professional women. They're future doctors, working professionals, architects, consultants, you name it. And they just wanted an open forum where they could talk about personal finance without the pressure of having to look smart. And what I also found really interesting is they knew about budgeting, they knew about the importance of saving, I mean, they had heard it from their parents, but they couldn't really connect it to their lifestyle because their lifestyle was always changing. They were switching jobs, they were moving to new cities, they were going back to school, not to mention life events, like having children or getting married or maybe the opposite, whatever. Anyway, but what they really needed was just someone like me to show them that they could build that confidence, just a little bit of basic financial education to build that confidence, and then someone like me to help them connect the dots between the basics and their lifestyle. Now, the next thing, okay, let's organize my notes here. So in addition to that, a lot of our clients have been asking me to talk to their millennial children about basic financial planning. So imagine this, like one of our biggest clients has asked me to talk to their son, who's about to go to an Ivy League medical school. And because I'm a financial advisor, so I know all about investments. So he has this long list of investment questions ready to go. But before we even get started, I was like, hold on. First of all, just tell me, what's important to you in life? And the kid just paused for a second, and he was kind of surprised. But then he said, well, I'm going to medical school, and I'm really passionate about healthcare policy. I really want to help people on a larger scale. But I'm kind of nervous because I'm going to be in school for another 10 years, and I don't think I'm going to have as much real-world experience as the rest of my friends. So even before we talk about the money, we start the conversation understanding the son's lifestyle, goals, and concerns. Now I'm sure all of you have had that conversation with your clients before, right? But now we're having that same conversation with their kids, and it's awesome. And just like the parents, these kids have goals that go beyond just money. They have dreams, right? And when we start talking to them and reaching out to them, we put ourselves in a position to be a sounding board for their goals and dreams. And we're the ones showing them how we can manage their money to help them get to where they want to go. It's a really unique position to be in, and I don't think millennials our age are really getting that conversation from anyone else. I would argue even from their parents. Then, of course, it comes time to talk about money and money goals. And so I always ask the clients' children, what's important to you about money? Because I think the reality is for many of them, they haven't had to be proactive about their money before. Or some of them even take it for granted. And it's really nice to have this moment of reflection before we even get to the planning. But basically what I hear from a lot of millennials is this dilemma. They're like the little baby crying, I want to buy myself so many things, but I also want to save money. So they want to be able to enjoy their life, but prepare for their future, right? Or you could kind of get the flip side, like Dory from Finding Nemo with short-term memory. I really need to save more money. Ooh, cheap clothes, right? So I think that I think that advisors can kind of help find that balance, for their clients' children. So the conversation usually leads to building a budget and saving versus spending and all that stuff. But I actually find that it gets complicated pretty quickly. So I'm working with this client's daughter. She's 23 years old. She works at this big tech company in the Bay Area. And she started getting really worried about her money because she was getting all these emails from her HR about her employee benefits plan. And what's crazy is she had a 401k, a Roth 401k, an after-tax account that had in-plan conversions, an employee stock purchase plan, plus she had bonus stock that was starting to vest. So she had like all of these different options, and she was hearing about everybody talking about it, and she was like, what am I doing? And so, you know, we didn't do anything too crazy. We could just lay it out in like a basic Excel spreadsheet. But we went over the pros and cons of everything, we set up a structure for her savings, and by the end of the conversation, she was like, yeah, I got this, I can do this, you know? And so that's what I was thinking is, you know, it starts really basic, but then it builds very quickly. Now, I know what you think. Parents can have probably this conversation on their own with their kids, but I might be a little biased. I think it's better it comes from an advisor. And, you know, they see it as more of a discussion instead of a lecture. I've gotten the feedback that it's so refreshing to finally be able to talk to someone about this. Or that, you know, they can ask questions that seem really basic and they don't feel stupid for doing so. But I think what's most important is thinking about it from the parent's perspective, our client's perspective, and what a relief they feel when we talk to their children. I'll give you an example. We work with a lot of Indian families. Many of them came to this country in the 80s, and they're like the rags to riches story. They started off with very little, and in 30 years, they built a family, they built a community, they built a thriving career from the ground up with very little support and with no safety net. And when I think about it, you know, that's my family story too. So here's a picture of my parents when they got married in 1984. They celebrated their anniversary last week. And then here's our family today. And when I think about it, I know that I am a product of my parents' hard work. You know, my dad's back there, he's my boss. I'm in the business because of him. And, you know, I can only imagine how challenging it was for my parents to get to where we are today. So I know that when we reach out and work with our clients' children, our clients feel a big sense of relief because we're taking the steps to make sure that their children are capable of handling a legacy that they worked so hard to build. You know, and so with our support, I know that we can be a great help to this next generation of clients. Thank you.
That was great. Thank you so much. And I love the idea of doing